City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Special beyond special.
Best player in the Premier League.
Captain Marvel. Drogba! Rooney!
Oh, wonderful!
That is one Derby diamond.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs, episode 13. I'm Dylan, alongside Mila and Grant, as always. Today, we have a returner whose video actually never made it
Flash
live.
debut.
Yeah, Flash debut. Nick, welcome back, and welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
In this episode, we're going to talk essentially Matchweek 11, run through all the big games, all the big storylines, and then talk a little bit about United and their new manager, and finally finish off with some Premier League hot takes. Seeing that you are our resident Spurs fan, I think you should start us off with, I maybe an overlook of this last game against Ipswich, and then more of like an overarching story for the season.
Yeah, match week 11 was interesting. Really shit, honestly. I think it was a typical start from our side that we kind of came to know. Just super slow, expecting the ball to just kind of play into their path and get the touches, get the right flow, but they just suck to start, honestly. It's not really surprising, but I think to concede 2 to Ipswich like that, overhead kick, is just crazy to me. But we grew into it a little bit, and then honestly, I switched the game off in the second half because I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I was right. But overall, just the fact that we beat Villa 4-1 and just kind of brush them aside in the second half like that, and then just can't find the net, is just honestly diabolical, and it's just the tale of the season at this point. Other than that, I genuinely don't have much to say about that game other than what's next. What else shocking result are we going to bring out? Southampton might get points off of us at this point. I don't even know.
Gonna win your next game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got City next.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's become redundant to be like, well, it's Spurs, so it's just going to happen. But it just doesn't. It's just not normal. You win against City in the cup, and then you beat Villa 4-1, and then it's back-to-back losses against. I don't know, Galatasaray. I don't know if we can say they're inferior, but
they rotated.
Paper. Yeah.
Not they rotated. I mean, they had the Brighton loss right before international break, which was not the turning point, but a big point in the season. How do you respond from that? And then they go beat West Ham 4-1, which West Ham have been awful, but so be it. And then they win in Europe, and then they go lose to Palace, right? And then they beat City. Then they beat Villa. Then they lose to Galatasaray and then Ipswich. So, kind of to Nick's point, you really don't know what you're going to get with them. But I mean, I think I even said they would lose to Ipswich, and the only reason I gave was because they're Tottenham, because it's just where they are at right now. The 10-game start when Ange first came in, they looked unbelievable. That came to an end, and then ever since it's been so up down. One day you watch them, they're unplayable. They looked really good that second half against Villa. They looked unplayable. It's oh, this is the turning point, but it's not. So I guess kind of more to you, Nick. Where do you see it in terms of Ange? Because from the outside looking in, it's I wouldn't think he's under pressure, or wouldn't, if I were a Spurs fan, want him gone.
No.
I
think he's brought a lot to them in the short time he's been there.
Yeah,
Given the circumstances, all that, what do you think on that?
In the dressing room, I think he has a great presence. I think he leads the team well, and how he conducts his coaching and his managing and his player management seems to be pretty good from what I've seen. But it's just this vicious cycle of win 2, gain momentum, fans get behind you, and then it's just piss poor result, piss poor performance, and it's never going to change. And I don't think it's pressure under the manager. I think it's got to do something with the players. And
right, what can you do? Where's the change come from? Because I think you'd probably agree, but it's probably a much deeper rooted issue, right?
Yeah, I think it's also poor business.
Yeah,
poor business in the transfers. Definitely transfer business has been poor, just because our owner Levy, he just is so cheap, man. And like this summer, I feel like was the first summer where I saw a big signing like Solanke, and I think he's
Yeah.
really good. Like he's a really decent player, like a top striker, good hold up striker. But I don't know, man. It's such
He
a
needs support, I
touchy.
think.
Yeah, he definitely needs
Like if you're gonna
support.
bring like someone like that, he's not necessarily like the top of the top strikers, but
Yeah,
he's a good player. So I think when you guys are gonna bring in someone like Solanke, you got to bring in a complementary piece,
for
either to help
sure.
him get the goals or to assist with the goals for a little bit.
Kulusevski, to an extent, serves that role.
That wasn't a pickup though.
No,
He's
I
been on the
know. They
team and
need to
now he's
add more. Sure.
transitioning.
They
Yeah.
need to add
So
more.
like,
I mean, they got. I like Gray. I think from what we've seen of him, he's
RG
good,
Gray is good.
but he's been playing fullback. I know he
Yeah,
inverts, but like I feel like his
he'll
best
make his
position
way
is
into the
probably
midfield.
in the middle. Bergvall hasn't shown as much as I thought he would, but I still think he's super young and he's another one for the future. But again, what are you building for when you have Son in, who's definitely past it but still effective? So is it a win now situation or win later when we're getting the two teenagers in? Like that's kind of where I question the direction, and like that's where I think probably the first thing that needs to be addressed is the squad and like where you're at. Like I think Kane leaving obviously is a huge turning point. Bringing in a completely new manager, the pragmatic, Conte, Mourinho, like refresh. Let's get a good manager in who's going to play more exciting, attractive version of what they saw previously. But I don't know. I mean, like even just the midfield, right?
it's
Like
just poor.
where it needs to be consistent.
It's
You'll
bland.
see. It looked good for a bit. It was a Bentancur, Madison, Kulusevski for a few games, and then that starts to get overrun a bit. Sar comes in, looks good, but I think there just needs to be some more consistency there to just kind of
Yeah,
be able to. You have to stabilize the middle, but I don't
I
know.
agree.
Like overarching, I think there's just bigger problems in the 11.
Yeah, it's deep. It goes deep, and it's never gonna fucking fix itself
Yeah, I
unless.
heard the story about like them getting the watches, the Rolexes for being finalists, like that type of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
I mean, it's interesting because the one consistent has been the manager, right? Like he's playing his style no matter what. Doesn't matter who's in the side, and that's a good thing to a certain extent. But it's definitely more. This feels like a more on the players' situation because
I agree.
the inconsistency is coming from the week in week out performances that, like, I mean, Madison is just a prime example of what Spurs is. Like on his day can be one of the best 10s in the world. And then
Yeah,
you get performances where you're like, dude, like I can't even start you this week. The fact that he's not starting is a problem in itself because he can be very good, but then from a week to week basis, there's just no spot for him to keep his place, and that's a weird problem to have. But like you said, if you're not willing to spend money in today's transfer market, then you're not going to get consistency in players because you're just asking for these kind of rotation pieces.
I think
yeah,
Ange's even been a little more flexible than he was last year. I mean, against
Absolutely.
City, they still played a high line. It was nowhere near as high when they had 9 men against us. So, like, to an extent, he's even conceding, like, hey, I'm not going to do this every single time. So he's showing enough flexibility while still kind of keeping this is the way we play. He's showing, like, okay, it's not going to be this exact way. You know what I mean? Like, we will adjust on a game by game basis. Van de Ven out, you can't play that high line with Dragusin and Romero, right? So drop it 5 yards. But he's making those adjustments to me. So, like, again, I think the argument, no one better out there, I don't love that argument, but I do think Ange has definitely shown enough where you kind of have to back him. And it's a transitional period. I think they overachieved last year, given where everyone had them with Kane leaving. So I think you got to give him a little more time with it, but that's where I stand.
I agree.
There's still 3 chances to win a trophy. That's the most important thing, right? Like if it's not going to be in the Prem, like you got to win. I mean, it's the second year as a manager. That's kind of like the prove it year for most managers.
He
Like,
said it, yeah.
let's see it. I mean, that team is capable of winning a trophy on paper. Like, there's enough talent in there to win you a trophy. Now, can he just? And I think that's more important for Spurs, right? Than maybe doing well and getting in Champions League is just get a trophy. It's a culture changer.
I think it's I don't like. I feel like we've had a squad that could win a trophy for the past like 7-8 years, and it's just. I swear to God, it's 2 wins, 1 loss, a draw, and then 2 wins again, and then it just repeats, and then we'll lose 2, and then, man, it's been
Yeah,
the story
always,
of my life for the last like 10 years.
always 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly. Honestly, 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
was
It's
gonna
even worse
say.
than that.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I
So
was gonna say. Well, speaking of struggling, Dylan,
Yeah,
what
I
do
was
you
gonna
say?
say let's pivot because this is just look, we're
We
not gonna
won't
get
get
to
this
do
again,
this.
right?
We won't get to do this often. City have now lost 4 straight games, which I'm struggling to even say because it's just not normal. So
never happened.
I'll
The
start
first
with
time since 2006.
Pep's a fraud. City are better without him. Um, Mila, you
Roderick
talk on
Ballon d'Or is
City. I
looking
mean,
better and better. Or,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna be as depressed this episode. I'm gonna look at the bright sides first. So, I think Simpson Pussy definitely needs a applause. He's 17 years old, going into a broken back line, and he's looking good. He had to work his way into the game a bit, but I was happy with his performance. I think he moves the ball really well for a 17-year-old center back. I feel like you want a little more experience when you're throwing that position into the deep end, but he's doing a good job. Walker, he was actually good until he wasn't. It was like once he had his first mistake, it all went to like he shot the bed.
Snowball.
Everything went out the window. It was crazy because he actually was having a decent game, and then he made one bad pass, and then he literally passed the ball out of bounds to nobody. That was
Yeah, that was funny.
appalling to me.
That was funny.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't think there was much to talk about his individual performance. I do think he needs to do more as a captain to protect someone like Simpson Pussy when he's getting that debut. I've seen a lot of people talk about his Simpson Pussy's performance, and they're a little harsh on it. I think you got to lay off a little and expect more from the experienced players on the team. The midfield was okay. Did you guys watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, bits and pieces.
I think they were good up until about the 60th minute, 55th, 60th minute. It's been the story of our season. We don't have legs in there right now. I'm pretty sure that outside of Foden, everyone's over 30.
I'm looking at it right now, but that sounds about right.
Unless you move Mateus Nunes in there, but he had a terrible, terrible performance when he got moved into the midfield. So I think he's stuck on the left for now. And once we get our players back from injury, I don't know if he'll be playing. It's just the reality of it.
Shame.
Yeah, I think speaking of the midfield, though, outside of Kova and Gundo, like I said, they had a good game till the 60th. Foden kind of not showing up again. He played okay, but
Standard, though. You're holding them
we
to
need
a
more. Yeah, we
higher
need more
standard.
from him.
Player of the year, deservingly so last year.
Exactly. So he's gotta play to that standard, I think, and he puts that on himself as well. So I'm not worried about it. I think it'll come in time, but he needs to do more. And I think to segue that, I think it's visibly showing on Holland.
Oh, he's fuming. No.
He's frustrated, bro. He's trying to lead the press too. He's pissed about it because we're not pressing. Our guys are too old to fucking step up and press with him. He presses, he turns around. There's no one there pressing with him. It's very frustrating. And you could see it in the game. Cut to him. He's screaming at them. Like, what the fuck
I saw
are
the
you doing?
after the game. I saw the one after the game.
It's yeah.
Yeah, he's
I can
visibly
see
frustrated.
if we want to keep him here, we got to do more to keep him, to make him want to stay here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our number 9 shirt is open.
No, you guys have Nicholas Jackson. Don't worry.
Good
I don't
point.
know. It's an interesting topic. I think just because if he keeps getting this frustrated and we're not going to do anything to fix it, it's going to be the same thing week in, week out. There is a chance that he leaves to go to a Madrid or a Barca, especially with positions opening up for both of them. I think Lee was still old. No one's going to deny that. So if they can go pick up Holland,
Having a great year, though.
And Mbappe doesn't want to play striker, so If they need a striker, they're gonna go get the best like they normally do. So that's a little scary for me. I think Savio and Doku, kind of the same story. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, simply put, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
They're both very talented, but there's no
What's up,
output
Dill?
yet.
Yeah.
Dill.
Feels
It's,
repetitive.
Yeah, you can. It's a weird middle ground. Like there's a certain line where having both of them on the pitch is too much. Having one of them is like almost just right, and then when you don't have either of them, there's just not enough creative output.
I do think Doku's playing a little injured right now, but it's not like if he was fit, his G&A would be skyrocketing.
No, I think both
that's
of
the
them
big
are.
thing. Like that's the huge part of our newer teams as of recently. It's not the goals aren't coming from there. So Foden's not scoring. Haaland's our only scorer. We've talked about it many times.
Yeah.
But you got to look at our past teams. Sterling and Sonny were putting up, 15, 16 a season, along with whoever's playing striker, Aguero, and whoever's filling in for when he's injured. Like, we need that if we're going to compete like we want to, especially with the way Liverpool's performing. So they have to find it. That's the only way. I don't see us going to get a winger in the January or.
I think it's also super understated. Like, we obviously all know how great Kevin De Bruyne is, but like anytime, like especially during international break, a comp will pop up. It's different. Like, no matter who the playmaker is, he's, I think, just a level above pretty much
We don't really have
any
that
other
creativity.
guy. That's my point. Like, KDB can pull rabbits out of hats. I think last year wasn't Newcastle his first game back, and he had two assists, and both of them were just absurd. Like the angle, like the way he found both of those passes.
He made the play. Like,
right,
it's not
there
like,
was nothing on. There's absolutely nothing on, and he just makes 2 goals out of it. And obviously, he's not doing that every game, but just that level of creativity. There's no one touching him there, and you miss that because obviously people talk about, oh, Foden's in there, Gundo's in there, and obviously Gundo's a different story now. But like, Foden's a great player, but no one can replicate what De Bruyne offers them. And obviously, Rodri being out, we haven't mentioned today how much that impacts everything. The Ballon d'Or winner. And I think this is proving. This is proving it. But
there's no point to talk about it because he's not coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, you're missing him. You're missing 2 generational midfield players right now.
Yeah,
that's going to hurt any team.
KDB did play. He did get some minutes at the end of the game.
He's not where he's at, right? He's not where he needs to be at physically.
No, he's not match sharp. He's been out for like a while. They just didn't really talk about it.
He's getting older, man. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Still on it when he's there. But
no international games for him.
So many players.
He backed out of that, and I think we do need to talk about that because City alone, I think, pulled 6 or 7 guys at the last second. We pulled out.
I mean, Colwell and Palmer are out, so both are England guys. Same deal. Colwell's not even hurt, bro. I don't know what his deal is, but I'll take it. Oh, Fofana too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Brighton, to be fair, we do need to mention Brighton. Brighton have been really good this year. We took the shit out of them, and everyone was like, oh, see, it's Brighton. It's like, no, like, this is a good team. I'm not even trying to say that, like, oh, we're huge. Look at us beating Brighton. But no, like, that's a seriously tough team to play. I mean, even a few players that I was critical of last year. Igor, I didn't think was that good last year. He looked really fucking good. And again, it's an adjustment period to get adjusted to this league. And I also think Kaleba, too. He came in last year from Lille, and he's like 20 years old. He wasn't the best last year, but again, it's the Brighton factory of just churning out talents and quadrupling their value. But beyond that, they just give them that time to phase them into the team slowly, not put that much pressure on them, and you're starting to see it again. I think Matoma was outstanding. We forgot about him a lot last year, missed a lot of time. Not as much output from him this year, which I need in my FPL team, but he's been really good. You know, you watch the game with the eyes, like, he's been top this year. Welbeck didn't do much against City, but he's been really good this year, even when his output's not there. He's working hard, not for 90 minutes.
He was coming into the midfield pretty well, honestly.
No, he worked. It was
hard. Impressive. Yeah, he's a good forward.
Right, so even if he gets taken off, like, the whole time he's out there, he's working his ass off, and he wears the armband right now, and absolutely a good captain. He's been doing really well this year. I think we got to big him up.
Nick, I was going to say, Nick, do you want to say anything about City's struggles here at all, and do you have anything to chime in?
The only thing I caught was that I feel like it's obviously evident that City aren't performing well, but I think just like bouncing off their points is that it's way more evident that they have players missing. Because I don't think we'd even be chatting about this if they had all their full strength. Like it'd be more of a chat about like Liverpool v City, like City Pool all night. Like that's all we could talk about if they were fully fit. So, I mean, City are playing poor, but it's just they're missing some of the best players in the world at the moment.
And they're still only 5 points off it.
It's our fault, though, that we're in this position. If you look at the players that are out, it's Ake is one of them. Or no, he wasn't, but he was out earlier. Stones. These are chronically injured guys. They're always hurt.
Grealish.
Yeah, it is. That's true. But
and we have the big ones like Rodri and Bob, the freak like injuries that you can't really do anything about those. Grealish, I don't even know what's going on with Grealish. There's really nothing. There's no reporting on it. Like it's a weird one. And then KDB, same. They kind of just brushed it under the rug. So we wanted to run with the small squad, and this is a result of that. So
I mean, it's worked before, to be fair.
It has, but after you're competing, you just won 4 titles in a row. You're
they're worn down.
4
There's a tread on the tires
from start to finish. Exactly. You have to think about that. We haven't really refreshed that much. We've brought in some wingers, and one of them is freaking injured all the time. They're minor injuries with Savio, but he's always injured.
So, it's still early. I mean, City have done this.
We just need legs. Yeah.
They've done it every year. But I will say, just off the eyes, like it does look and feel different than in the past.
Tired.
So it's like, there's a bad run of form, then they'll pick it back up. This does feel different. But I still think we need to see a bit more to really. I would be concerned, but to get full on panic mode, I think I need to see a little more.
I'm not panicked. I
agree.
Have full faith in our board that we're going to go do something in January to remedy this because they know they messed up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You got to keep Pep too. You got to keep him happy.
If I'm going to put on my hypercritical glasses, because I've done it with Arsenal and Liverpool to both of them, is everybody else has made adjustments. And in this game, Brighton's manager made 2 adjustments that were ballsy calls to win a game. And he did that. And look, to bring on KDB and get him, 15 minutes, like that makes sense. And Silva, the same thing. But, you're clearly losing the midfield. And they were clearly losing him after the subs. We've talked about O'Reilly and McAtee. Neither of them played. These are the young guys. And I'm pretty sure the guy that he brought on, O'Reilly's 23. It's weird. This is a different Pep. I feel like he's the guy who makes everyone else change. And this is the first time in a long time where he's not adjusting to the issues at hand, and he's put himself into those issues. Reliant on, and I've been critical with Arsenal with this, reliant on a single player. Like if Haaland's not scoring, there's no one putting in goals for City. It's a weird struggle. I'm assuming it's going to get better because that's just what the track record's shown. But who knows? The injury stuff is not going away. It's Chelsea had it last year. United had it last year. Spurs are currently in it.
I still can't believe
we could be a fully fit squad, and you lose Haaland, and we're fucked.
That's it.
You don't have a striker yet. No backup striker is insane.
No backup striker. Obviously, I think it was going to be Bob. It was going to be that false 9,
still not a striker
type of thing.
Yeah,
it'll do. It'll be fine. But like we do need to go pick up someone.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think you guys. It looks from the outside looking in, because I don't really follow City all that deeply, but it just looks like they're running out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like everything's starting to slow down. Like they'll still get their dominant performances. Like, I mean, Haaland will score 4 and then just chill out the rest of the game, but
right.
It just seems like they're trying harder to achieve the same every year. So I just feel like there's going to be a breaking point, and I feel like this could be it, but it's still so early. Like we're not even at Christmas yet, so it's nothing will show for sure. But right now,
to your point, we are not even at Christmas yet, and that's around when it picks up the match fixtures, the fixture list. So like we have these injuries now, when we're playing a ridiculous amount of games in a week span. Like, what's going to happen then?
That's crazy to think about.
I think I'm done talking about City.
All right. Well,
Likewise.
let's switch gears to Liverpool Villa. Liverpool dominate and win 2-0. Sucks.
So good.
It sucks, but they're so they're passing all the tests, and
They're so
every test
good.
that I talked about in my rant a while ago, they keep showing that they're real. I don't have much more to say on them. They have the best player in the
Darwin
Premier
goal.
League too, right now.
Gets in.
Yeah, Salah. Salah needs to be in those conversations. I mean, you just can't deny the output and the amount of time he's done it at this level. It's absurd. We were saying it like 2 years ago, I think, where it's like, oh, he might be done.
They might be slowing
No.
down. Nope.
I think
Oh,
that trip to Turkey bought him another 2 years. He looks good, man. He looks really fucking good. Grabbing Birch too. I think I might have said we need to see more. Like, we need to see it for a longer period of time. He looked really good in a tough game against the physical midfield. Villa are. Do I want to say disappointing? Like,
Yes.
they just seem not Spursy in terms, but like in a similar way to Spurs this year, where like one game Villa are going to look really good, and then another game they're just not going to have anything. Villa
don't
do
think-
seem a bit inconsistent to me right now, and maybe we can attribute it to the Champions League games, right? More games, but
Nick brought
I don't
up
know.
City running out of steam. This is a team that's running out of steam, and we talked about the injuries and that catching up to them. So through like the early part of the season, they lost one game, and it was to Arsenal. They then beat Bologna in the Champions League. From that point on, which was October 22nd, they drew against Bournemouth. They lost to Palace. They lost to Tottenham. They lost to Bruges, and they lost to Liverpool. So 5 straight games they've dropped points. 4 of them have been losses, and all of them have been like convincing losses too. It's not like they've been controlling games and the other team sneaks a result. Like, they've been playing bad.
They look lost.
I mean,
I don't know what it is.
Of Emery teams too. Like, he gets them clicking, and then eventually something happens, and they just fall apart.
I don't think they're going to fall
say
apart yet. But
I think it's the wide players.
Yeah,
it's
like,
never
they're
the same
not-
too.
Well, and they're just not consistent players. Like, you look at Leon Bailey, who's a big player in this team. He's not that guy. And when we saw him playing like that, we were like, this is weird. Because he's not usually doing it for a run of games like that, I feel like. He pops off a couple times
Last year
here
was
or there.
pretty good.
Well, I don't think he's consistent.
Yeah,
John
for
Duran.
sure.
I think he is a good player, but he's not the type of player where, like, week in, week out, we need you to perform. And right now it's falling on to Rodgers. Watkins isn't performing as he would have last year. And
Had a
then
decent year, but yeah.
he's had an okay year, but like last year he was banging in goals left and right.
Right.
So that's basically it. Like, if you look at their midfield, it's
Yeah, they are.
Tielemans and Onana. Like, they're attacking players that are consistent-ish are Rodgers and Watkins, and then you have a guy on the bench.
Yeah, because McGinn, I see him playing in different position every game. They'll try him on the right, they'll try him on the left, they'll put him in the middle, and they also just ask different things from their wide players in different games. You have guys like Philogene, Bailey. Those are guys who you think of as like proper wingers, like McGinn, Ramsey. I don't see them like they're not wingers to me, right? So it's just you're asking a different thing out of this position for every game, depending on who's there. I don't know. I kind of saw it happen a lot last year, though, it felt like, where they just kind of mix and match that front four, if you will. And it seemed to work out. But yeah, now that they're seeming to struggle, you do need to have some consistency there. And maybe it's that Duran. I don't know how you get Duran, Watkins, and Rodgers all in the same setup. But maybe Kamara coming back into the team can give them some juice in the middle. But
Emery's
Mings.
not a manager that likes to change. This is his style, and he's just going to play it. And it's a little concerning because currently the players aren't fit for. They just don't have enough output. And if Watkins isn't going to be the guy that's going to get you a goal a game, essentially, they're just going to keep. They're going to keep.
I agree.
yeah, well, yeah, not
It's
much
tough
else for
because
me there.
I like Villa. I think it's a cool story, and it feels like the Newcastle story from a couple of years ago. But yeah, does anybody want to talk more on
Few things
Liverpool? I
different.
know we all.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
despise them. So
I know y'all.
okay.
Yeah, y'all have your things. You guys have your problems with Liverpool, but yeah, I think going off of just what we've seen this year, you'd have to consider them favorites at this current juncture. That doesn't mean I'd be shocked if City win the league again. I would not be shocked at all. I
It's
do think
theirs to lose.
yeah, essentially they've put themselves in a prime position. I think you just give credit to the team. I think you give credit to the manager. I think they've passed all these tests, like you said. Um, so they've proved that they could do it. But again, there's naturally some point of regression this season. So it's up to the other teams on their tail to just stay doing their thing under the radar. Just get your points, pick them up, and once Liverpool eventually do hit a bad run of form, however long that goes, the other teams need to be ready. The other teams need to be ready. But yeah, it's definitely theirs to lose.
I think Slot came in with a vision and just put it down, and it's just working because you have players last year that towards the end of Klopp, he was playing like Endo consistently, and now it's just
Endo's
Gravenberg all of
gone.
a sudden just appears as a 6 and is genuinely world class right now. So he just came in with a vision and he implemented it well, and it's just clicking so well. And I love that how good Luis Diaz is under him because I've always
Really
rated
good.
him. So now that it's just being rewarded, it's really cool to see, even though it sucks that they're just so good and consistent. And then, I mean, Salah, talk about consistent. That guy is absolutely incredible. But we'll see. I mean, it's too early, but I think they have a strong chance if they can keep the ball rolling well.
I'm hoping that after the Southampton game, they have a Wednesday game against Madrid, and then they have a Sunday game against City. That'll be tough. So I think that hopefully can knock them off balance a bit. And then we'll see, though. If they perform well in both those games, then fair play. You got to tip your
Right.
cap.
And I think
Looked really good in Europe.
physically that Liverpool team is massive, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
those guys have presence like all over the pitch. I mean, Virgil is just a mountain of a man, and then Konate next to him, and like Robertson's just a shithouser. So they're just scrappy and they're good and they play well. So it's just gonna be hard
Trent's
to
been
break
really
them
good this
down.
year, even
Yeah.
defensively.
Their whole back line has just been so good. So it's gonna be tough to break them down. But if there is an injury anywhere, I think they might hinder a little bit. But I think Slot's got great man management, so they look pretty serious.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like they're one of those teams that just have bigger, better athletes at most positions than everyone else, and so like in a foot race they win, in the 50-50s they win, on set pieces they win. Look, every team this year has been pretty inconsistent when it comes to set pieces. They haven't. I haven't seen any. Has anyone scored a set piece on them?
Well, they haven't conceded that many goals.
But I think that's like
Arsenal been good on set pieces.
Scoring, right? I mean, have they conceded any?
You're talking
as
about
well?
defending set pieces. You're talking about defending set pieces.
Defending set pieces.
Maybe.
So did Tottenham? No.
Tottenham can't defend a set piece, man.
They cannot. Vicario, I think he's a really good goalkeeper, but I'm starting to get worried about the amount of times he goes absolutely. He just can't do anything with crosses. It's genuinely hard to watch. And I love seeing Tottenham lose, and I still have problems watching it. It's tough to watch him just like get crushed under these crosses, bro. Really, but I'd rather have him in goal than who I have.
Well, speaking of your team and who you have in goal, Chelsea Arsenal 1-1 draw at the Bridge. Grant, take it away.
Game kind of stunk. I felt like it was a deserved result. I think either fan base would say they could have eked it out, but all in all, 1-1 draw is perfect for how this game went. I just don't love. I think the biggest thing takeaway wise that I don't love is just when the switch gets turned off. It's a young team. I think Mila brought it up a few episodes ago. They don't have that guy, the commanding presence in the back line to set them straight. So when they got that goal that the donkey was offside on, They're all just talking to each other. They're not really worried about what's going on. Bang, they take one quickly. And thank goodness Havertz remembered his Chelsea form there and was offside. He did absolutely fucking nothing that game, and it was brilliant. That type of stuff just infuriates me. We got away with it, but I think we absolutely got away with one. Like, most strikers are on side there, and that's a free goal. So that was frustrating. I don't love, and I've seen that far too many times with us, even if we're not punished. And then again, for their goal, just turned off on the back post. There's two guys unmarked. I think most of the blame for that goal goes on the defense for me. To give Odegaard that much space to pick a pass out. One of the two people on the field who are dangerous with the ball at their feet, you're going to just give him time on the ball and then unmarked on the back post, and then Sanchez gives him the near post. So just a calamitous goal, super preventable. But again, I think it was the deserved result. I like what I saw from Neto. I think he's probably in position to start on the right-hand side over Madueke for me. I think Madueke's defensive work has gone under the radar, but let's be realistic here. Like, we need output in our attacking positions. So I think Neto's earned himself a start. He looked unbelievable all the way through. He has an unreal cross. I would have liked in the summer to get a striker with more of a box presence, just to have a different profile than what we have with Jackson. With a guy like Neto, especially late in games, to be able to just cross one into the box, that would be something. Don't make that face, Mila. We do not want Osin
Such
in
a
the
piece
room
of
here.
shit. You're such a piece of shit.
We tried to get Samu. Who's been cooking this year, but that fell through. We got João Felix. Yeah, Palmer was disappointing. Jackson was, honestly, for me, even more disappointing because I just hold him to a very high standard. I don't think he gets enough plaudits for what he does for us. He
He
had a
looked
few
like he was
moments.
trying to make it too fancy.
He had a few moments,
Again,
but
like it's
overall,
one of our earlier critiques of his. It kind of looked like he regressed into that game, in my opinion. I don't know.
yeah, he tried to do too much. I think, to be fair, Gabriel and Saliba, that's a really tough partnership to go at. But yeah, they won the battle that day. Palmer, it's been bad this year in these big games. I get the narratives. We could go back to last year. I think he was good in most, if not all, of our big games. Scored in a Euro final. So, like, I'm not concerned about it in the long run. Like, he's not a guy who shrinks, but this year he has. He hasn't been great this year. That's the type of game where you hope for him to just get on the ball, rip one, and it's in. That's the quality he has. I think Gusto kind of taking over that right-hand side and pushing Palmer to the left hasn't worked. I'd like to see that switched. I thought Gusto, his chance should have been a goal. Point blank header, again, the cross from Neto. I think my guess is he didn't think Reece was fit enough to play that role for 90 minutes to be able to get up and down, because I think we've seen Reece James's quality in the final third. I think he's more than capable of doing that job, but I don't think the manager wanted him running up and down for 90 minutes, which I'm okay with. But he's the captain. He needs to be in the team for me going forward once the fitness isn't an issue. But yeah, did you guys have any kind of overarching thoughts? Again, there wasn't much in it for me. I know we're in third now. We're 3 points off 11th. So I'm not even worried about that. I don't think we're title contenders, if that question was going to come up. But par for the course, I think we should still expect top four this year.
I think
Yeah.
the big names like Saka and Palmer, I think they were
Cucurella
just
was
invisible.
Top, by the way.
So, but this is what we talked about. I think more so with Arsenal, but I guess we can talk about it with you guys too. If they're not performing,
I'm not worried about it as much for us, but it hasn't looked great. Yeah, it hasn't looked great. I think, to be fair to Arsenal too, I guess, Odegaard coming back, he definitely looked fit, and they're progressing more towards, and again, nowhere near where they were at 2 years ago in terms of the way they're playing, but you could tell it's not just park it for 90. They went at it. So
yeah, he created
in terms
4
of optimism,
chances. He had a good game.
Oh,
yeah.
he looked fantastic, Odegaard, and he just linked the play. Like, he just was always in the right spaces, finding the right passes. So I think going forward, there's a lot of optimism they can take from that game, but it needs to be almost flawless from this point on. Again, just given where they were at the past month or so, the way they were playing, they showed a lot more today, obviously with Odegaard back. So I think they have a sense of optimism going forward, but they absolutely need to be spot on.
Yeah, I've got two main thoughts. I like being critical of Arsenal because their
Nice.
fan base is delusional. That was their 8th point dropped from a winning position this year. What championship pedigree team drops 8 points this early in the season from winning positions? It's another one where we're talking about the best defense in the Premier League, right? Like it's just
They went to sleep for our goal.
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez is on the ball for 5 seconds and he goes, "Oh, nothing's going on here. Okay, no
Havertz's
going great."
fault. That goal's Havertz's fault.
100%. I'll
He
back
didn't
that.
track his runner.
I will
He
back
didn't,
that.
and it opened up the midfield. He got sliced up because of him.
Spot on.
So
Enzo, by the way, you guys like that assist, Dylan, Mila?
I
It
don't
was
think
all
he had to do
Neto's
that
shot.
much.
Yeah,
I know. I think
But I do
something
think
we-
it's Havertz's
no.
fault. I think and he made it a lot easier for that pass to be
Yes.
played,
Yeah.
and he did nothing
Enzo all the time in
to
the world.
prevent
He's a
the
$100 million
goals.
player. Of course, all the time he should be able to see that.
Yep.
100%.
Look, he deserves credit for getting the assist because it changes
Yeah.
the complexion of the game.
I think he was really impactful when he came on, which is not something I've said earlier in the season. And I think it's something we don't notice as much, but with the pivot we're playing, Lavia, Caicedo, obviously much more stable defensively. But Enzo, whether or not he's the one in the final action, he finds and makes a lot of space. Like when him and Sancho were on the left-hand side, mind you, that's not much output between the two on the left-hand side of an attack. But the way he would move in and out of spaces to just free up everything, that goes unnoticed. And I'm starting to notice it a lot now when he's not out there, is that you just genuinely get more creative output from him naturally, but also the rest of your players because they're in better spaces. So I do want to give him credit for that, and he adds that to our team.
I think it's fair to say that. It's difficult to have that be the reality when you paid so much for him and he's coming off the bench to bring this to your team.
Right.
It's not enough for him to be
put him in.
a starter. Like, it's not enough to warrant starting, but it's enough to be like, okay, this guy can ball, but we need him at like the 60th minute. Can't pay $100 million for a 30-minute a game player.
I think he's going to play a lot of minutes this year. I'm not talking even about Conference League and all that cup shit. I think he's going to get a lot of minutes. I think it's going to be fluid throughout the year, but I have really liked what I've seen from Lavia and Caicedo. Obviously, Caicedo, I didn't bring him up yet this episode, but we'll get into that later maybe. But he has been unreal all year. Did it again. He's unbelievable. Thank goodness Arsenal didn't get him. He's very good. You said you had something else to Dylan on the game?
I have one last point on Chelsea, and it's something that I just don't think has gotten any attention, and it's an interesting one for me because the fixtures of the midweek with the Conference League is really skewing, I think, the media's attention on what Chelsea have been. In the last, I think it's 6 games, excluding Conference Leagues, Chelsea has either dropped points or lost in 5 out of 6 of them.
Excluding the games we won.
Yes, which would be 1 out of 6.
So taking out those games. Okay.
I'm saying removing the Conference Leagues games, which were all wins against Noah and
Panathinaikos. Respect them.
Dropped points against Forest. Lost against Liverpool. Beat Newcastle. Lost to Newcastle. Drew against United and drew against Arsenal.
Yeah, title challengers. We drew with them. I'm not mad at it. Look at the league this year. You know what I mean? 19 points is in third. 16 points is 11. So it's super tight. I'm not too concerned. Oh, I didn't even let you get the point off.
I think my point is that there's been this weird arching feeling that there's been this like huge progression. I'm just not sure I'm sold on that idea yet.
Did you watch us last year?
I think
okay, year over year, sure, but like to say that this is like this groundbreaking new side, I haven't seen it. There's just not. It doesn't have that winner's mentality to me yet.
Yeah. That I can accept. I think the coach even called it out like a month ago. The captain is not the captain. He needs to do more. Right? They need leaders. They need to create leaders. I do agree. They haven't proven that pedigree yet. I am just so much more optimistic. Just because I'm seeing that there's clear ideas in the way they want to play. Last year was literally, if you have pace and power and you can run for 90 minutes, you're in the team. It didn't matter where. Like, these guys are all mispro. He had Cole overlapping at left back. Gallagher is our 10 for most of the season. Pochettino just did horrific things with this squad all of last season. Right away, this coach comes in, all the players who I thought were awful got blacklisted from the team. And then we brought in a lot more talent, as we do. And you can see style of play. You can see something different with them. They're not shrinking. Like that 5-0 against Arsenal last year, that's like, I can't imagine that happening to this group of guys. It's the same dudes. But I think they've all matured a year. They've had to go through that last year, and they're starting to realize we are that good. We should be beating teams. We shouldn't just be rolling over. I see it a lot after the games. We'd be losing games last year, dropping points, and taking pictures with them, smiling, all that. And these guys look devastated after drawing games, which is what I love. So I'm more than optimistic, but the best part is we will see.
No, the optimism is fine. I just don't. I just think that there's been this rose tinted kind of view over the last few weeks, and I don't know why that's with the way that other teams are getting hammered, right? Like
well, look, we got hammered for 2 years. We were 10,
but like
12.
I'm talking about right now. I'm not talking about the past.
That's why
I think it's because of their
they're not
culture
bashing
change, though. It's the culture change is bigger than a couple points dropped here or there. One of them also was like Carabao Cup off the back-to-back. Like you just played Newcastle.
We beat them in the league.
Usually you use that return fixture. So
Dewsbury Hall at right wing that game.
I don't know. I think I see your point, Dylan, but I do think the media and the Chelsea fans are more focused on that culture change, like Grant was talking about, rather than a couple run of games.
Yeah, I guess you're confused as to why people aren't overly critical of our results right now.
Yeah, look, you started the episode off talking about Ainge and his first 10 matches at Spurs and how it was the best thing ever, and now we're looking at the inconsistencies. Like, I just trying to find some level ground there in terms of how we're evaluating.
He's a first-year manager also.
Yeah, he's not Poch.
Like,
he's experienced
there's a lot of factors on like why I think
it's also Chelsea. You want to hear a really important factor, Mila? We've had 2 digits next to us on the table for the better part of 2 years.
Whoa, balloons.
We have been in 10th and 12th place for the majority of the past 2 seasons. Now we're in 3rd in November. Obviously, there's context there. The points, I think it's like 4 more than Poch had through 11. But like I said earlier, we watch the sport with our eyes. It's night and day for me. And I think throughout the year, we're going to see that be proven correct. But yeah, we were in 12th for the better part of 2 years. We scammed 6 last year. We should have finished 10th. So to see that change and how they were attacking this manager before he played a Premier League game or coached a Premier League game, he has 40 players. Oh, what are they going to do? That narrative went away so quickly. He shut it down. He talks to the media well, unlike Pochettino going back on his word all the time every other week. He stands on his business, and I think that's, again, like Mila said, it's one of many important factors. But time will prove us right or wrong.
Fair. Nick, do you have any thoughts on Chelsea and where they're at in their current progression through the season? Oh, we lost your mic again.
No, we're good.
Oh, we're back.
We're good.
Okay, cool.
No, they look much better this year. I think there's definitely more presence in how they play, and they have much better character. The only point I was going to make a while ago is that I think Palmer's been... I don't know, man. It's starting to scare me.
GA and 11, bro. I'm not worried.
He's got to step up in the big games. That's the only thing.
He did it last year, so I'm not.
He brought himself to the big stage, and now he needs to perform on the big stage.
Stay on that stage.
I mean, yeah, big fixtures are big fixtures for a reason, and if you're not stepping up in those, it's like, how's your season going to go?
Right.
So
he's going to bag 2 next week or next game against Leicester. You know what I mean? And we've got a good run of fixtures coming up. We've got a good little run. We haven't played any of those newly promoted teams. So yeah, to your point, those are the games we need to see. That'll be the
big difference between like your next step for this team to be talked about in those title conversations is like those big games. Obviously, that's where you take away the points from your title contenders.
Yeah.
I think we need more pens.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Sure.
All right, last major topic is United win 3-0. Pretty wire-to-wire victory for United. Ahmed has to start every game. He's United's probably best forward. Bruno finally is starting to click back into form. And United's backline is, I think, for real. Those are the 3 takeaways I had from the actual game. But I don't really want to talk about it a lot because it doesn't really matter because it was an interim coach and United's going to have a whole new setup come after the international break. And Amorim's system, it sounds like it's going to be look at the GOAT.
Nice.
It looks like they're going to run some form of a 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1. And I think that it would be a cool conversation to kind of discuss where we think United should head in that direction. Obviously, this is a island of misfit toys, and his system clearly is going to have to put a lot of square pegs in round holes, right? So, I think there's the back line
Up top, I think. Yeah.
The back line in the midfield seems pretty much sound, and I'll say it to start,
guys.
right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
front 3.
Garnacho,
And front, the 2 behind the striker. That's about it.
Obviously, you have Onana and net. Your back 3 is going to be Yoro, De Ligt, and Martinez. The 2 wing backs will probably be Mazraoui and Dalot.
Michael Garnacho.
I
He likes one of them to be super attacking.
But Garnacho has 0 defensive ability and the formation switches from a 3-back to a 5-back very quickly, and Garnacho has. It's crazy enough. If he was going to do that, it'd have to be Rashford there, and that's just not.
You don't know.
You don't do that,
right? Sure.
You don't put your best.
But I think Mazraoui can be that guy.
I think so too.
You just give him a little more leeway to go forward. Exactly. No, I do think he can definitely offer that, and if you need Dalot to cover for him and do that couple plays throughout the couple possessions throughout the game, I think he can do that.
Dalot loves getting forward too, so.
Mazraoui has been United's most consistent and probably their player of the season so far.
He's been good, man. Great value play.
It feels like he's starting to finally find some consistency in terms of going forward. I think that's been kind of pushed under the rug just because United have been kind of crap. But he's looked really good, and United are starting to click with him going forward, which is a nice change of pace from having Dalot always going forward. So the midfield too, and we can. This one I think is more of a conversation for me. It's Manu and Ugarte.
It has to be, I think.
But I think you could also make the conversation that for the starting point of it, it's Ugarte and Casemiro, because over the last few weeks they've looked really good together.
You can't do that. You can't
genuinely, I don't think Ugarte is better than Casemiro right now. I think
you
for
can't.
coach coming in.
Did you guys watch this week?
I did not watch this game. Having said that, I've never really been sold on Ugarte, and I do think this is the level of team where he can really just get in there, break up play, and have himself a game. I don't think he's very good on the ball. I think that's an opinion a lot of people probably share too. It's not that nuanced, but I think for a coach coming in the middle of a season to just kind of right shit, you have to go with something that you know what you're going to get. I think Casemiro is a more proven commodity than what Manu is, than Ugarte. I would run Casemiro, Ugarte. Casemiro and Manu for the time being. If everyone's fit, that's my pivot.
I agree.
You're asking for too much out of Casemiro to play in a 2-man central midfield.
I don't think he's covering the same amount of ground he has to cover under Ten Hag.
It's a lot to ask though, because he is pulling the strings. One of them is, and if you're gonna, you're putting a lot of Manu too. If you do that legs wise, I think
they've put a lot on Manu since the minute he put the shirt on.
Well, of course, but now
deep end, you know what I mean?
You can have Manu as a more box to box, and then Ugarte as that 6 with the Bruno in front, or I guess it would be, it'd have to be Bruno and Rashi, or Bruno and Diallo.
I don't think Rashford fits in the team.
Dude,
I think he does, honestly.
He does not fit in the team.
I've seen him play some balls from a little deeper that I think can offer a lot.
I genuinely don't think Rashford fits into this team. But again, I don't think the coach. We don't even know if he comes in with this setup. But I think if he's running a similar setup to what he ran at Sporting, I don't think Rashford fits, and I don't even think Garnacho fits. These are inside players. I saw they were linked to Nkunku. I think Nkunku would be brilliant in this team. Nkunku and Bruno behind the striker.
That would be
It's
nice.
the one thing that I'm going to say is Ugarte is the only one who's played under him,
That is true.
and that can't be
I'll say
understated.
Yep.
That can't
fair
be
enough.
understated.
It's a
He's
good
going to
point.
go with the guy that
I
he knows.
totally-
You
Yeah.
win.
And
completely
he was
forgot about
very,
that.
very good at
He was
under
very good
his
at
system.
sporting.
That was
Yep,
the whole
he
reason
was-
he got
he
the
was
PSG
class.
move.
Yep, he was class.
And-
Fair enough.
And
Fair
the
enough.
one thing that I will say about Casemiro, because he's been great, Unk's been back at it, but
He still got it.
Ugarte is the reason that he's able to play as well as he's played. They have
Doesn't
a
he look little
weird,
awesome?
yes, but like I'm talking about like when they've kind of found form under Rude,
Sure.
is the ability that he's just got legs for days. And I think it's just an understated quality in midfielders is athleticism, and Ugarte makes up for a ton of space that Casemiro does with his recklessness.
He's
And there-
tireless.
There's also a certain art to making a game mucky and gross
Sounds
and a
like
little uncomfortable
Gallagher.
for teams. Right? Because like the whole part of like throwing off a team that's playing better than you at the time is to make it a mess. And I think Ugarte has that quality in him.
Is it the type of
Which
player,
is what made Casemiro so good for so long, was his ability to throw other players off.
it sounds like you're describing Gallagher to me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, just the way
It's
you
not
think-
as worth.
that-
like
is
their
that worth
physical
60
presence
million?
is way more though.
Is that worth 60 million?
Gallagher's doing, and it's not that big of a frame.
There
This
was
is a
also
marauding presence of players like Casemiro and Ugarte are
different
way bigger
levels
than
of
him.
physicality.
the
Plus the legs.
ask on
When
Gallagher and-
doing that in his size, I think it's not offering as much. When these guys
It's
are hitting
different.
you, it's gonna
Sure.
you're gonna feel it.
And they're defensive midfielders versus him who just runs
Exactly.
off wherever.
Also, Gallagher's just a weird test case because he was asked to do so much more than he's, really able to do. Because
He
for
was a
probably
captain
for
for
Atletico,
years.
and I don't watch enough of their games, but he's probably
He's been
done
good for them.
good work.
No, he was
Yeah,
their player of the month. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So like the ask on these certain players has been so much, and
Not
United
listening
just
on it.
haven't had a system to like really see if this guy
It is
worth
hard to
it.
judge him. It's hard to judge. I haven't, like Xerxes, I'm not giving any judgment to him yet. So fair point. Given just the
He
breadth
could be
that
a
these guys
starter
are. I like
underneath the
Xerxes.
striker. Honestly, I could
I like
see
Xerxes.
that as.
Yeah, he
but
can play in that role too.
we'll
Unless
have to see.
I think if you play him up top, Rashford can run off him. Like, there are options.
I feel like for me, the only guy that like I'm set in stone if he's healthy in the midfield is Mainu. Like it has to be Mainu because the 8 in that system is a ball progressing midfielder, and Mainu is maybe one of the best talents in the world at that.
He's the future, man.
Yeah, so it
Not
has to
even
be him.
close.
It has to be him.
He's
Uh,
locked in.
Let's move forward. So United are gonna it's a 2-10 system. One is more of a creative dribbler, and one is a shadow striker essentially. Bruno's importance to the team makes it where he just has to play.
Yeah.
But he's not a good enough finisher for him to be a shadow striker, in my opinion. He's the only person where he actually, I feel like this is the only player that doesn't have an exact fit within the system. Because he's just a creative outlet, and he's always done that with his passing. And so it's a weird fit that I'm not like. I'm sure he's going to be able to figure it out because he's a talented player.
Sessions.
I think Bruno's probably in the team, but again, like you're saying, like if Amorim ends up being the guy you build around, he's there for multiple years. Yeah, Bruno's not going to be there the whole time. He's going to be there for less than the majority of the time. If this is the guy in the system that he plays, but I think he can still have a really good year this year. I don't think that means Bruno doesn't have a good year this year. But yeah, to your point, I don't see a natural fit for him. I still think he goes into one of those two spots.
I do too.
And off merit, I think it should be Ahmed. I think he should be the other guy. He looked good to start the year. Garnacho's fit again. Done.
He's
I
played
thought
in a
that was
similar
insane.
role at Atalanta. He's been incredible since in all statistics, pretty much. He's got to play. He's
So good, man. Even the eye test, it's like, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing.
I still think that Garnacho is your change of pace winger. I think this weekend showed it. Like he doesn't have the decision making to start, and he's not at that level yet. But as
Do you guys
a
hear
off
these
the bench,
fireworks? I'm sorry.
no,
No.
Do
I
you hear
don't.
this?
You're
Okay,
good.
cool.
It cuts out. You're good.
Sweet.
Yeah, but he's the guy that'll change the game off the bench. He's just not ready to start full 90s. I've been saying that all year. I don't feel any different about that. The only guy that I'm like for sure needs to start because there's a lack of options there. And two, just because this is like what they brought him in to do, is it's got to be Højlund up top, and you got to see if he can get the best out of him. Exactly. Can he do it 2.0?
Bring him. Sign
I'm not opposed to it. It sounds awesome, but I don't know. I'm hoping that Rashford in the system being closer to goal, they can get the best out of him as well. He's been super reserved this season, and it feels like he's way too far on the touchline for where I normally like seeing him play. Which is a little disappointing. He's definitely okay. The floor with Rashford is much higher than Garnacho, and that's why he should be starting games over Garnacho if there was a pecking order. And as a second striker, I kind of like the idea of Rashford because he'd be the one kind of playing right off of Højlund, which could be good. It's more question marks than anything, and it's kind of just going to be whoever can gain the place and the trust of the manager as quick as possible.
It's going to be a first 4 matches kind of feeling out system.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel. Sorry, Nick.
No, I just think they need points, and it's going to be like a super, super, super tough introduction, but they need points, so it's just you got to get it to click really fucking fast, or else it's just going to be tough to get it into flow. But I think he will get into flow because he's proven that at Sporting. But we'll see.
I think to your point about Rashford, Dylan, I could see him performing better with C.O.C at the 9. I do think it's probably going to be Højlund, but I do think if you want to get more out of Rashford specifically, it's probably going to need to be C.O.C.
That's fair. As more of a link-up play, well, as he calls himself,
Let him run off
9.5.
Yeah, basically just let him run off. He's not small by any means either.
No, he's a big
guy.
Big
If he just holds up the ball well, he's pretty good with his feet. He's not the best finisher. So if you're not asking him to do that stuff and you kind of want him to be more of like a supporting target forward with a little more ball control than most, then like I think Rashford could definitely thrive off that in the way that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm concerned because Gyökeres is the guy that bags all their goals. Like I want to say it's like 60% of Sporting's goals have come from him, and C.O.C has not proven that he can be anywhere remotely on planet Earth close to a finisher of that nature, and that's the only kind of weird.
That makes sense.
But United's window for that reason has become more awkward because Ugarte, if this was the whole plan was to bring him in, Ugarte makes a lot of sense. But then you've got these weird fits of like C.O.C is not the perfect fit, Mazraoui is not the perfect fit. So it was like kind of a split window because De Ligt is perfect in the system, Euro is perfect in the system, but then you got the other two, and you're like, well, that's confusing. For clips purposes, I'd like to make a United best 11 where we could just combine it all. So,
wait, Nick
I'm gonna say like this is United's best 11 under him. So let's just come to a consensus on the.
Now this is your 11. Let's have you do it.
Yeah.
Your team.
Yeah.
Your manager. Dylan's best 11. Rúben Amorim. This is your work.
All right. So if I was Rúben Amorim and I was picking United's best 11, it would be Onana and net, a back three of Euro, De Ligt, and Martinez. Your wingbacks for the time being would be Dalot and Mazraoui, and if healthy, Luke Shaw becomes your left wingback. The midfield pivot is Menu and Ugarte for me, and then your forward three is Højlund, Bruno, and Ahmed. And your first sub is Garnacho, and then Rashford comes on for Højlund. That's kind of how I see it.
I don't hate that.
I think we just got to see it.
Yeah, I got to see
on paper. Like you guys have been on paper pretty good for a while now, so we have to see it.
I mean, this is a big test to the manager, right? Like, can he get the best out of the guys that are here? Slot's done that all year. Can you get the island of misfit toys to finally work? Can he align the Rubik's Cube? Okay. Push through to our game section.
Well, Nick, do you have to go? Do you think
I
we'll make
do
it
have
in?
to leave pretty soon,
Okay.
but I know I had the pretty hot take.
Okay, so
we should just let Nick start it off.
Yes, that's what
Should
we're
I
gonna
just
do.
start it and then
Yeah,
not
just
explain
go
and
for it.
leave?
That would be hard. That
yeah,
would
so-
be hard.
I'll explain this. We're literally just gonna give a person's gonna bring their Premier League hot take. They're gonna explain it very shortly, and everyone else is gonna discuss, and then it's going to be a W or L take, and that's it. So yeah, Nick, start us off.
Okay. My hot take for the Premier League is that I think Mohamed Salah, by the end of his career in the Premier League, will go down as the best Premier League player I've seen. Stats-wise, looks-wise, I just think he is so consistent. It's just consistency for me. To do it in a league this hard for, I don't know how long he's been here now, but
Well, looks wise,
test, maybe
he
not.
got the new hairline, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean, eye test, maybe not like the most stylish player, but that dude is inevitable to a T. And I don't like the Hazard debate just because, for wingers at least, just
Salah
because.
winger. They're
Yeah.
completely different types of wingers.
Yeah,
so
but
I think they're two different players that we don't
wide
need to
player.
compare, but sure, yeah, wide player.
I mean, that's my hot take.
The
It's pretty
numbers
hot.
back it up.
It's
I'm not like I think he will end up in those conversations, and he deserves to be in the conversations.
At
That's
least
where
top
I sit
five.
on it. To me, that's where it stays. I don't really like saying, "Oh, this guy's better than this guy," because it's so circumstantial. There's so many different factors to it. But I think Salah, I mean, look what he's done. Like you said, the outputs, you can't argue with it.
I
So
don't know.
that's kind
It's
of
like
just where I stand.
for me, it's like a Neymar situation where like I always grew up like not liking Neymar just because I just thought he was a diver. But then as I've gotten older, I've just grown to love the guy. And when Salah was first in the league, I was like, this guy's so boring, so repetitive. But as like I've gotten older and watched him, it's like, dude, this guy is unstoppable every single year. Like his numbers just push and push and push, and it's so consistent. To the point where it's like, okay, like I have to rate this guy because there's nothing else I can do. So I think he's just he's just so good to me.
I'd rate him, but I think best player all time Premier League is crazy.
It's so
shout.
close. His
It's
numbers
such
are
a crazy
crazy.
shout.
It's his numbers for me.
this is an L take. I just can't agree with this one. One, because I am Mohamed Salah's number one hater.
Oh man.
But two, because he wasn't even the best player in the last 10 years. De Bruyne was just a better Premier League player than
Okay.
Salah during that whole session.
We can even back
I'm
it up a
talking.
bit.
It's
We
just
could
the
back it up to
trophies
Mane.
too.
When Mane was on
Yeah.
that Liverpool team, Mane was the better player.
I don't agree.
I
just-
don't care. It's
No,
a
it's
fact.
My God.
Like he's like if we're gonna bring up numbers, might as well just bring up Kane because he scored more goals than him.
With nothing to back it though.
Yeah, but exactly with nothing to
Oh
back it
my
up. Like De
God,
Bruyne's the
that's
same
so-
thing. Like De Bruyne's got all the trophies to back it up. He's got how many trophies did they end up winning?
I feel like it's like a thin line of
In
like
his time alive.
where trophies take over the numbers, and I think Salah has enough trophies to back his numbers.
I guess
Look,
the way
he's-
I look at this, the way I look at the whole argument is like these groups of players are sitting at tables, right? So what I mean by that is Salah, De Bruyne, they're at the same table for the past 10 years. What do you guys said?
I
think
say
by
yes.
the end of Salah's career, he's at the table with all these other guys. So I see that, but in terms of who's better than who at that table, it's a conversation I won't partake in. But I think he is that level of player.
Is he better
He's
than
that level
Thierry
of player.
Henry?
Yes. Yes, man. I mean, like style-wise, no, but
I don't know if I could just
It's such a
easily say
loose
it like that.
See
You need
what
to
I'm
go grab
saying, though? Like, it's just a
Sean,
hard question to answer.
it's oh my
Based on-
gosh. It's a line of eye test to stats.
Right, it's all
I just
interpretation.
I can't do it. I don't know why. I don't know
I
why.
think I
No,
know
I'm
why you
kidding.
can't.
I will say that I am his number one hater. But he is
Okay,
an
well.
he is an incredible player, and he deserves his flowers, and when it's all said and done, he'll be in the conversations of Best winger.
Yeah.
I don't know about best player.
I agree. With
I
that
just
take
think
from Bill.
that take is just so difficult because like there's so many Premier League like midfielders that don't have the stats, but I would say their importance and influence on the game matters more than Salah's. And because Salah's influence on the game hasn't meant as much, I take more pride in the idea that like he just didn't change the game for me. He was just really
Yeah.
good. And for a long time Aguero was
Really
neck
good.
and neck with him. Right? So like there was too many times where he wasn't the best player in the league for me to say that. But to his testament, he's been the most consistent player over the last 8?
Yeah. I just remember that season when he broke the record his first season. He had me on ropes, bro.
Did
Chelsea
Haaland break
legend.
that
Yeah, he did.
in his first season?
In his
Yeah.
sleep, bro.
But if you want to talk eye test, yeah.
No, he's incredible, and so his goal catalog is pretty ridiculous too.
Dude,
Oh, he
so
can bang
good.
him in.
Yeah, he can.
But like,
fuck, I hate him
I mean,
so
like,
much.
I guess
So
like
could
my
Giroud.
question for that were like wingers. I guess is like if we're doing like a start bench sell, Gareth Bale, Hazard, Salah, like you can't drop Salah.
No, he starts.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
that you just said wingers.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
starts
but
there.
like, I'm just kind of putting it.
Wingers. But that,
I even think if
that's
it's
where
like
your point becomes a hot take.
okay, then we'll do like
When you
would it
cross
be like
that line,
on who's the best like Henri, De Bruyne, Salah?
I wouldn't even put KDB in there. I don't. Yeah, I mean, you could do
There's
it.
players
No.
that I didn't watch that are probably or that we weren't alive for that like would probably be in that conversation.
Yeah.
That also like that's the only part about best Premier League player. I think if you wanted to say the shout of Mohamed Salah is the greatest Premier League winger, I don't think I could say that's an L take.
Yeah. I'll keep it hot. A hot take.
I'd keep it on. Yeah.
All right, boys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
Cheers,
on.
Nick.
We appreciate
I'll
you.
talk to you guys.
All right. Thank God that guy's gone.
Yeah,
Kidding. That. I was trying to save my thoughts because he said that in the chat, and I've been holding on to that L take for a while. Okay, Grant, what Premier League hot take has you like this?
I think Mudryk is a better player than Martinelli right now. Obviously, comparisons drawn from the interest Arsenal had in him. And at the time, honestly, I was confused with it because of how good Martinelli looked that year. I think given what we've seen from Martinelli and for me, what I've seen from Mudryk, I genuinely would rather have him on the left. And I think if Arsenal had him, they'd look significantly better right now than instead of Martinelli being on the left. I know Mudryk, we've seen a lot of the clips of just, him hitting one 30 yards away from the goal. I think he's shown improvement this year. Maresca's been harsh on him, expecting more from him. And I've been seeing him get better runs of games. Obviously, he's playing in the Conference League. He's playing in the Cup. The sub appearances look good in the Premier League games, and I'm genuinely starting to think it'll click. And on the record, I think it will click. I just don't know if it's going to be at Chelsea, but I do think there's a player in there. So, yeah, Mudryk over Martinelli as it stands today.
I don't know if I can get behind that. I do think to your point that if Mudryk went to Arsenal, he would be better than Martinelli for them at this moment because his development would be a lot different. It's been a very rocky journey at Chelsea, to say the least, for him. So I do think that's a big factor in it. So if we're going to be revising the past and looking at it like that, I do think that would be the case. But
just drop this current version
right
in now. Just drop the current version and given the rocky development coming into that team in January, given all that, if he
had confidence and was like,
I think he does have the confidence from what I've seen lately.
I
That's
guess
kind of where it's stemming from.
I
too.
don't
Starting to
see
see the light.
him play because he doesn't really play in the Prem, right?
No, but yeah, I watch all the.
No, that's the
Noah
thing. Like, I
games
don't
and-
really get to see him outside.
Yeah,
I don't really
sure.
watch you guys outside the Prem. So
I wouldn't watch us in the Conference League either. It's fair. But yeah, I just think there's a player in there, and yeah, like I take him. I like him.
This is I'm closer to 60-40 on this. I think it's an L take because I haven't seen it with Mudryk. I just haven't seen
I
it.
think I agree with that. It's not that I rate Martinelli.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
that I
He hasn't
haven't
proven
seen
anything to
enough
you guys.
out of Mudryk.
Did you see that
If
curler
I
he
was to
scored against Noah?
see,
No.
yeah, I
but
said
no.
No, but like that type of stuff. Again, it's against Noah. But let's like him going.
Well,
You know what?
yeah.
I am this good. I should just take this touch and hit it, right? And
But
he's
that's
getting
also
a
the
much better
thing. It's
understanding
like
decision making. I think decision making is a big thing with him. I'm starting to see it.
that's a fair
I'm
point.
starting to see it.
When
So,
the pace picks up, though, and
for
you
sure,
get
different
knocked
ballgame.
around by some big motherfuckers in the Premier League, like what?
Different ballgame.
Like what? How is he going to react? Is the thing.
For sure.
yeah.
And I'm not
That-
mad at you guys for where you're at because I've
It's
seen
tough.
games you literally haven't seen. So like I'm seeing stuff, and again, this was Conference League too, but he got the ball. He was out wide, running towards goal on a break, and the pass was on, but it wasn't really there. It was against Panathinaikos, and he just kind of slid it across with his weak foot right to Felix for the goal. It was a simple play. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but it's a play he doesn't make last year because he second guesses himself. He second guesses his decision making. It's almost in that Nunes school of thought where it's like if they're not thinking about it, it'll come off. But if they have too much time, it's not going to come off. So I think his natural ability, I've seen enough of it to where it's like there's a player in there, and I'd rather have that player than Martinelli right now.
It like I said, it's just tough because we've seen it with Martinelli, and
Mhm.
to be fair to him, like this whole season he hasn't had Odegaard, and that's a part of why he's been as good as he has in the prior years, is because he's been with one of the best creative midfielders in the world.
And Mudryk had Chilwell tax.
Yeah, but like he's never no manager currently is like, yeah, let's give this guy a
He's
run.
never gotten a consistent run of games. Yep. Spot on.
And that
I
falls
think that's
both on the
hard to put
manager
him in,
and the
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well-
I think for me and Mila's sake, this would be an L take.
That's an L
no.
take from you guys. No.
One of them starts for Arsenal, and the other guy can't even get Premier League minutes. I think that alone.
It's a hot
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
It's a hot
it had to
take.
come
If
in
he was
somewhat hot, right?
training and if he was looking like a sicko in training, like of course
he
he'd be
playing.
starting these Premier
Right.
League games. So
Mhm.
there's clearly something not clicking, and
Yeah, he
until
said
it
it.
clicks, he
Manager
won't be
said
getting
it
those
publicly.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, keep
Okay.
this one for the end of the year, boys.
All right.
Am I up?
Yeah, we'll make you next. All right.
Okay.
Mila, what Premier League hot take has you like this?
Think I'm gonna continue on a past hot take, and we're gonna double down, and we're gonna put him higher in the list. Liam Delap needs to be talked about more.
Where?
I think right now, strikers
someone.
in the Premier League.
Like, are we
I'm
putting
going
in like in the top 3 conversation?
top 5. I'd go top 5.
Conversation.
Mm. Okay, let's do that. Okay, Holland, Isak. I think he's picked it up lately enough to stay in the combo. Watkins.
What?
Are we putting Ollie Watkins?
I mean,
Not
he's
right now.
got
Solidified
similar
right now.
production,
Not right now.
right?
Jackson. He is
Jackson,
6 and 3. He is
6
6
and 3.
Solanke.
Like this is all chill and nice, but you can keep going. Wood right now, more
Wood.
goals, but
He can be in the conversation. Yeah.
I think let me explain why I think he's in the
Yeah.
conversation. The guy has 8 GNA in 11 games,
That's fucking Ipswich.
and he's playing for a relegation side.
First
They
time
are
in the
not
Prem.
good. They are not good enough, like to be above those other teams that we're talking about week in, week out. If they don't have a Delap, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, he is 6 and 1 at Ipswich. At 21 years of age.
He's big. He's fast.
He looks
He's
fucking good, man.
smart. He can dribble. He can finish. Like I think he can really do it all. I think we were hasty to get rid of him, to sell him at least. We do have a
Hasty.
buyback.
Good word.
Thanks. We have a buyback, but it would
You
have
guys
been
always
great
throw
to have
buybacks
someone
on
like
guys.
this right now. shit, like he probably would still have the GNA, if not more GNA than he has right
he'd be
now.
at
Like,
City, not Ipswich. Yeah.
well, he wouldn't even be
think
starting. Is my point. Like, he'd be.
all I know is that's enough for me. There's an argument to be had. I absolutely think I could fight harder for Watkins going in.
I don't think I can.
There is an argument to be had, is what I'm saying. But I think the fact alone that I'm not really like automatically shooting your shit down, I think it's a W take because typically, I don't know if you guys are familiar. I don't like when Mila's right too often, but so that's why I was trying to. Oh, let's list them off. But I mean, I'm thinking about it. Like he absolutely does belong in that conversation. And we did give you shit for putting him in your top 10 before he played in the Premier League. So based on that too, that you had him on your list already, I think you deserve the W. But I will give Dylan the stage to see what you have.
I like this take. I think this is a W take. But my only pushback is like if I was to ask any fan of another team, like, would you take your would you take Ian Delap over your current striker? I don't know how many of them would say yes.
That's true.
They're not watching
Danny Welbeck. We should have brought up Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck's been awesome.
City's a no.
But
that's one of the guys that we have over him in the top 5.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Newcastle, but fucking. I see your point.
I'm just saying. I agree. I think this is a good take. I absolutely agree that he's a top 5 guy. My only pushback would be that I'm not. Not Villa, not Chelsea, not.
No, Villa would not do that because of the season that Watkins has last year and Duran as a backup.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
Arsenal,
yes.
I don't have him in my top 5. I wouldn't put Delap in my top 5. But
you can make an argument for
it. You can make an argument.
I think the argument's
That's
more than fair.
Matters.
Which is why I have to give it because I wouldn't put him. Yeah. I'd still rather have Solanke, to be honest. Just off gut feeling, not just looking at the stats. I'd probably rather have Solanke.
He has more to back it up.
Right.
He has experience, everything you would look for. But
I see your vision.
When you watch them, the eye test, I do think Delap is.
Because he does pull goals out of his ass.
Yeah, he does.
Which is very impressive to do. He'll just
not
whack one from a crazy angle.
He's quick, bro. He
very
moves
confident
with power
too.
It's crazy build on him, and
he seems very decisive in front of goal.
He's a legacy
decision making. It's there.
He's got
Premier League in his blood, bro.
That's it.
He starts for over half of the Premier League teams. So yeah, no, this I if you're cool with the grant, I think this is a W take. I don't think this is a hot take.
More than cool with it. Than cool with it. Well played, Nick.
All right, you're okay. I'm gonna preface this because I know for a fact you guys are not gonna like this, and it's the whole reason that I want to bring it up.
Okay.
So
it's gross.
Let me explain.
I hate it.
Let me explain first before you go ahead and decipher why.
All right. All you don't.
Okay.
That's an outtake.
So, okay. I gotta get my notes up because I literally have numbers to back this up.
Not prepared for
what it's gonna be.
My Premier League hot take that has me like this is the only difference this season in standings between Chelsea and Manchester United is Cole Palmer. And here's why. In the 6 games where Chelsea have drawn or lost points, Palmer has 2 goal involvements. In all of the other games this year, he's scored. So without Palmer playing well, they are not a fundamentally winning team. My second thing is they've had inconsistent wide play, which is the exact same as United. Chelsea have conceded more goals in the Premier League this season than United. They only hold 2 more % possession than United. United's expected goals are 17.5. And Chelsea's are 19.
Expected goals, mate.
Hold on. Let me explain. And United and Chelsea are 19.9. Palmer makes up over 5 of the expected goals. And With Matchweek is the third highest person in expected goals for Chelsea this season. He has 2.9.
Okay.
The drop off between
Damn, that's kind of crazy. Damn.
the drop off between Nicholas Jackson, who gets, I think it's more than half of his assists this season, from Cole Palmer, which is if Cole Palmer's not playing good, I think there's a direct correlation to Nicholas Jackson not playing good.
Vice versa.
Sure, and the third highest person in terms of GA is Matchweek, who had a hat trick in a game, and he has 4 goals on the season.
Yeah, he has 1 goal involvement in any other game. Yep.
The difference in points is 4 right now, isn't it? Or 3?
You know
4?
who our leading goal scorer is? In Kunku.
No, I'm talking just Premier League. Just Premier League. Just Premier League. Just Premier League.
So no penalties against Servette, Panathinaikos, and Noah. Is what you're
the only difference between United and Chelsea this season in the Premier League is that Chelsea have Cole Palmer and United do not have a player of Cole Palmer. And his talent.
We got him. And we got him for 9 years.
I think that's a fair take.
Yeah, he's one of the best players in the league, if not the world. I don't see what the hot take is there.
I think that take is
He's really good.
But it does speak to the whole regression thing.
So if we lose Cole Palmer, we're mid-table, like we're 10.
I think there's zero difference between Chelsea and like last season in terms of like the spots on the table and stuff.
Nothing's changed, is what you're
like.
If
Palmer is not playing, Chelsea are a mid-table team still, regardless of if they are playing.
We lost 5-0 to Arsenal without Palmer last year. And won 6-0. He's really good. He's better than everyone on our team by at least one level. Like they're all 23 years old, and they're all progressing. He's just so much better than everybody.
It's a Saka, Odegaard, Rodri type of thing. He's the best player on your guys' team.
Yeah, I don't think it's a
by a long shot, and the team kind of runs through him. So I think to that point, yes, I agree.
I don't see a point to it though. Like I don't like what's the point? Like
my point is that
if have Cole Palmer,
if you remove
for 9 more years.
I'm just saying, like, if you were to remove Cole Palmer, I think, like, right now, United are a better team than Chelsea. I think that's how big off in talent is with Chelsea.
Well,
like,
if
Palmer misses time,
what about Caicedo? Or something? What about Caicedo? Caicedo's twice as good as any midfielder.
That's not going to do anything for you guys,
United.
though. That's not going to do that. I'd see Dylan's point to that. That's not going to get you points.
I think it does. If you don't have a stable midfield, if we didn't have Caicedo, if we had Kovacic still, and I still think Kovacic is really good. But if we had Kovacic in there right now instead of Caicedo, that doesn't change anything.
No,
like I don't see the point. I think Caicedo's been the best midfielder in the league. So like, what are we doing? I don't even know. Jackson's been one of the best strikers in the league.
Because of
But Dylan's point is they don't perform. Or obviously Caicedo's a different story. You're playing a deep role.
Lavia's looked awesome.
But those guys aren't. To Dylan's point, you're not going to win games because of those guys if Cole Palmer's not in the team. Cole Palmer is the one winning the games for you guys.
I think Caicedo can genuinely. He can win us points.
I think
that's how good of a midfielder he is.
What I'm trying to say is like if Palmer's like, let's remove him. Let's say he's not playing well. There's not much difference between United and Chelsea, and I think that was shown
in 3 games.
The game against United, he was not good, and United drew 1-1 and looked just as good as Chelsea did the entire match. We
haven't beat you guys in 11 years.
No, but like if we're gonna ignore like the taking Palmer out of it, let's just take it at a singular standpoint. Like the only difference between the sides is him. I think that's
in 11 games. Palmer's impact has been even more noted due to his hot start and slow start in terms of output from everybody else. Do you think Pedro Neto just goes on to do nothing this year? And Sancho? Actually, you probably would think that, so that's not a fair ask.
Well, Sancho doesn't want to play anymore.
Well, he's hurt or ill. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is like if you rip back the fundamentals, like you take out Palmer, you've got inconsistent wide play. You've got two midfielders that aren't necessarily the best at ball playing and goal scoring, right? So it's very similar in that sense.
Playing? No. Lavia and Caicedo are not good on the ball.
Creativity.
Different.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Enzo,
what
but he's not
that's what
starting.
I'm
he
saying.
was
Like,
talking about.
it's
Creativity.
Enzo's not
because the
starting.
reason that you are able to play Lavia and Caicedo together
It's
is
'cause of
because you
Palmer.
have Palmer.
Yes.
If you
and he's
didn't
been
have
shut
Palmer,
down.
you have to play Enzo, and Enzo isn't that player. And so,
Well, good
like,
thing we have a coach who switches it up constantly in terms of what's going to give us the best balance. He started off the season inverting a fullback and pushing one of those pivot players up. And then Lavia's fit. We're going to stick to a pivot. One of the fullbacks is going to go push up as a 10 now. So he's consistently changing things. We've seen the setup with Lavia and Caicedo for 4 games. So yeah, in that setup in the 4 games we've seen where Palmer's been man marked out of the game, we don't have much. I can get behind that. I'm so not concerned. I guess so long run, kind of what you're getting at. If Palmer gets locked out of a game, we're done for. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all. I think Neto is probably going to be starting over Matchweek now. Like I don't. I'm not worried
we're
about
changing.
that
We're
remotely.
changing the take here. What I'm saying, my hot take is, I think that United have a better defense. I think the midfield is relatively on par.
No.
Is Mainu better than Lavia? Yeah,
No.
he is. Oh, dude,
Yes. No, don't
dude,
do that.
don't do that.
Defensively. Are we
Defensively, no.
defensive
They're
midfielders?
We're
actually
talking
different
about
roles, but it's just in
apples and
general,
oranges.
Manu's a better
defensively. Mainu, when he was playing, had the most tackles in the Premier League. That's a defensive
Because they
stat,
lose the
right?
ball all the time. I'm just talking about when I'm
So
watching
then we're
them.
talking about
Lavia's
setup.
stronger. Yeah, shit.
So then,
this conversation can go a lot of ways, but I'd take our midfield over your midfield in a heartbeat.
Okay, sure. The wingers, even.
Yeah,
there's no.
No, Anthony.
Mudryk.
I think Garnacho.
Mudryk.
Yeah.
We're talking about guys that aren't
awesome.
playing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
We're talking about guys that aren't playing. We've been you sang Ahmed's praises in the early half of this thing.
Fantastic.
Garnacho has more goal involvements than like a bunch of top players this year.
Or Neto?
Well, I wouldn't even put Garnacho into the team.
Right,
I wouldn't. But if I have a pick of all your guys' wingers, I'm not putting Neto in it either.
Who are your wingers? Do you think the winger? You got an impartial view. Are the wingers even?
I probably take the United wingers, honestly.
So it's definitely even enough then. Sure, I'll concede that.
It's not on paper though. Like Chelsea's wingers,
I think everywhere we have.
I think in the future, for Chelsea's wingers, I do think I like that more outside of Ahmad. I'm not a big fan of Garnacho. I really,
me neither.
Yeah, but I think Neto will develop in your guys' team. As of right now, to Dylan's hot take, I probably would take the United wingers.
That's fair.
But I'm taking Jackson over you guys. It's pretty
Jackson's
even to like that.
I guess,
that goes
Dylan,
to Dylan's point.
Let me give you this, Dylan, to kind of wrap it up. I guess the way Mila just said that kind of made me understand it a little more. I rate our players higher than what they're rated right now. I guess that's where the disagreement's coming from.
Right,
I rate them higher than what we've seen. Well, not only that.
No, not that. He's looking into the future.
Lavia hasn't shown enough at Chelsea. He's played less than 10 games for us. I think, given what I've seen in this system, the way this manager is quick to change things and to get people in positions to succeed individually, that's why I'm rating them higher than their perceived value. So that's, I guess, where our disagreements are coming from in terms of where I think our wingers are, where I think Lavia's at versus Mainu. That's where that's coming from. So that's totally understandable. Where they're at right now, sure. I don't see it slowing down for us in terms of the growth in the players. You're already seeing guys like Matchweek has an international call up, and I do think he probably shouldn't be starting next game. To be fair, I think Neto's earned a spot over him, but that's just the progression of these players. We're seeing them progress in real time, and going back to kind of the Mudryk thing, I project him to have a somewhat steady growth too. He's not as much in the conversations of Mudryk's the 62 million flop or 100 million flop, whatever you want to say his price is. We're not hearing it as much. And I think that's good for him to just kind of, hey, you know what? Put your head low in the Conference League and the Cup and earn your spot in this team. And he's playing better. If he earns his spot in this team, he'll do better. Obviously, he's getting international call-ups regardless. But I just hold the team into a higher regard, I guess, than what we've seen.
To go back to his hot take, I think the best way to look at it is if you were to take your guys' frequent Premier League players, put it into a combined 11 from a neutral standpoint, it probably could go 6-5. One for sure, though. I think the striker,
Keeper.
I'm taking Nico, and at the keeper, I'm taking Onana. So it's like,
I'm taking Bayindir.
and so like you
Maybe.
guys are gonna argue about the midfield. I'm taking probably one of each at the central midfielders, and then it's hard to say. I'd probably take Palmer. So I don't know if you're looking at it like that. It's really easy to see Dylan's as a W take. I think not an L take.
I don't even want. I'm not
to.
even projecting future. I'm just talking right now on the table. Like I don't think that the results have been like if Palmer wasn't
we're
there.
Getting away with it. We're getting away with
Well,
it.
you have to take into
performance-
account that
No.
one team's getting
I
a revive at manager, and the other team is freaking drowning because they all hated Ten Hag.
We're ahead of that
So
schedule.
now you guys look better because you're not hating your football. You're actually enjoying their football. So I think this take needed to marinate a little more. In my opinion.
I just think that there's not that much of a difference between the two sides. Like I genuinely think by the end of the season, I think Chelsea and United are going to be pretty close to each other.
And I don't think that.
That's
and I don't
easy
think that.
take. I think.
So
I think that one's a better take.
I think we should genuinely know we should revisit this. And because there is so many variables. Amorim, ruthlessly good coach in a weaker division. So you know what I mean? What's going to happen? Is he going to come in? And I do think like he's got something about him. Personality, I think, is super important. I do think he's going to be successful there. Is it going to be right away? There's going to be bumps. I'm sure there's going to be growing pains, as there should be for a coach coming in the middle of the season to this situation. I do think third doesn't feel like where we're at. You know what I mean? It still feels like there's bumps to get over. But as I've said previously, this is the year where there will be growing pains, where there's going to be tons of frustrating fixtures this year where we should have gotten more points out of them. I think next year is the year that we're genuinely serious, contending. That's where we should be pushing. But again, there's so many variables here. So, especially with our squad and so many players coming in and out.
It's a weird thing because I'm optimistic about United because I don't think the performances has necessarily matched the results in a lot of the games, especially early on. Because we talked about it, like they play well and they just wouldn't score goals, and that's part of it. Like they're just not scoring goals.
That's what I sounded like with Potter, man. I'm scared for you if that's the case. I hope that doesn't happen for your sake, genuinely.
No, like
I'm not even
United say that.
Potter and Chelsea are a different test case because that's a carousel of coaching staffs that just
whole
like
thing. Nothing will match what the hell happened that January. I'm just saying, like, in terms of what you're saying, like, damn, like we actually could have gotten something out of this game. I guess what happened that year for us, it kept dragging out. It never turned around. We kept having performances like, damn, we could have got 3 points out, and we didn't. So like that's what happened to us. And again, I think more than likely you guys can turn that around.
This was also a bad
one manager though,
and it was a bad.
I'm just referring to one situation.
Yeah.
I'm pulling from one situation that is not similar to theirs.
This is different.
To that situation though, it is different because they're transitioning managers.
It's just what I'm hearing. Like,
but Amorim is supposed to have it.
Look at what they did with Rude.
Oh,
they had a pretty good run.
Like you said, they enjoyed their football. They played.
To be fair,
that's the main thing it looks like.
Yeah, they look like they set it up kind of similar.
You guys just didn't look miserable.
Right. They didn't. There was nothing groundbreaking.
Like there was some positivity to watching your guys' football. I think that's a big thing in the game that is understated.
I like where this is going, and you know what? Feel free to crown the take, but I genuinely do want to revisit once we've seen Amorim play.
Yeah.
And let us. And to be fair, we have not played a newly relegated team yet, or a newly promoted team yet. We've had a tough schedule. We got a nice little run of games. This is when we find out, to me, if we're going to be a serious team. If we drop points to one of Leicester or Southampton, we're finishing sixth to me, right? These are the games that we need to win if we want to finish top four. You need to beat the Leicester.
I think any other season. No, I agree with you. You do need to beat them.
And we don't do that. We haven't done it last year.
Yeah, I don't think you're finishing sixth if you do that.
I'm just saying
everyone's dropping points to those teams. This is a weird season in the Premier League.
We're going to be below. That'd be below expectation. I think we're going to finish below where I'd expect us to finish if we don't go on a good run of form right after this international break. We have a very good schedule, given what we just ran through in terms of not a gauntlet, but it hasn't been an easy list of fixtures. I think this is when we can prove it, and I think new coach coming in for United. Obviously, they can. I don't think it's prove it time right away, but we can start to see a semblance of what they're trying to build.
He's trying to steer the ship out of
Yeah.
rough waters,
It's gonna be
basically.
tough.
So
It's going to be rough.
It's
There's
a
going
huge
to be
ask.
some rocky moments. For me, I still feel like obviously we overshot no prediction, but Chelsea United feels like the 4-5 battle.
I
in
genuinely
this
do not
table.
have you on our radar, which
It's
is crazy
not,
because
it's not
it's
far
2
away.
weeks away. I agree. But just from what I've seen, I haven't been like, oh, I'm worried about them. And maybe it just needs to click that Ten Hag's not there anymore. This is different. And I think that's what it is. But that's probably why you guys aren't even on the radar for me, like just subconsciously.
no, just
because
even they just where they are on the table,
Right.
just visually, like
It just doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't
appalling.
match up.
Amorim
it's-
needs to wake them up. We'll see it. I'm excited for it.
But it's a testament to Chelsea. I think the top three is Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. Like that doesn't change for me. I think Arsenal getting Odegaard back will keep them in third, right?
Yeah.
So like the question is, who's this 4-5 battle? I think United can get there. Now I'm not saying they're going to pass
They
Chelsea
definitely
at
can.
some point,
They definitely
but I
can.
think that's kind of the hedgeway there, or at least that's where they should be trying to get
I'm
to.
gonna have to fight with Nottingham.
Hey,
Yeah,
we finished
apparently,
above,
fucking hell.
We finished above United last year, which is crazy because we were 10th, 11th the whole year. And it didn't feel like we deserved to finish above you guys.
Yeah, it's all about stringing together performances, right? Like, can United find consistency? Because okay, that is the main difference between United and Chelsea. Is Chelsea have consistency?
Yeah, they have a coach who wants
Well,
to
to
play a
your
certain
point,
way.
Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
has
he helps with that consistency.
You guys
Okay.
made a good point earlier against Carabao teams and Conference League. It's a different pace. But what I will say is when we play that B team, it's the same style of play. It doesn't
Mhm.
feel like an over-reliance. And obviously those players are lower level, but they're definitely a higher level in the Conference League to where that should be expected of them. So I'm seeing what I expect. Good. We should be beating these teams by 4. They weren't last year. I can assure you we were dropping points against Burnley and Sheffield. I can assure you. So I'm very confident in what this group can do. We're probably done, but I do just want to say we're a keeper away. That would have been my next option.
I'll take my W take here. But do you want to say your? I knew this was going to create anything, so
It's
it
I
was a good conversation.
so
I think it was a good
long.
conversation. We needed a good little back and forth, so that was fun.
Cool.
But,
Alrighty.
we can do.
We can do this again, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
It's like
saying.
3 episodes.
Yeah, easy enough.
Cool. Alrighty, then let's end it here. I thought that's a good way to
Perfect.
end it
Yeah,
with some
fun.
good conversation. Alrighty, well, thank you guys for listening. From Dylan, Grant, Mila, and Nick, this has been Clash of Clubs, episode 13.
Nick.
Thank you guys for listening.
2 words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.